I've blasphemed against the Rothschilds and Bourne Leisure, and I've gotten my facts wrong about JED Justice, and I beg your forgiveness. Yeah, this bit's correct. This bit's correct. That's Jesus in their joke, and I'm guilty of blaspheming. That's Jesus. Yeah, that's accurate. Right then, let me see you. I have guilt now because I have defamed a man called Trevor James Hemmings, and I've accused him of being in league with the JED Justice people, who are treasonous and are complicit in all of the financial crimes of the Rothschild dynasty and the massive scandal that is the Trident trading issues out of Eccleston Square in London. But let's keep to the religion, because I have guilt now that yesterday I told you that this man, Trevor James Hemmings, yeah, was registered in Lancashire, but also in JE3 8BA. It's no JED at all. Let's have a wee look what happens when you enter JE3 8BA into Google Maps. Yeah, I'm very penitent because I've got something wrong. And this morning they're telling me on the weather forecast from the BBC that there are massive lightning storms in the English counties. Yeah, especially in the deep south and in the metropolitan area around London, and in the regions which were immune from bombing in World War II. The sun's been out up here all morning, which is why I'm kind of relieved that the gods have forgiven me for my inaccuracy. What you get when you enter JE3 8BA into Google Maps is a trip to the tax havens. Let's take you there as Madonna sings as she gets down on her knees and commits blasphemy in the song about merde. So what was the name again? Let's do it real time. This was saved on there, so it's JE3 8BA. Have a go yourself. JE3 8BA. Oh, there it is. We can go there directly. Yeah, without a visa. Okay, JE3 4FN, and it's not innocent little JED that is just complicit in a few minor war crimes in the area, in the region. And we need to zoom out now so you can see where that is. That's the Route de Saint-Jean. That's a French saint, like all of the other jokes I've told you about. Look at the place names as we zoom out. The URC in Church, La Rue des Huguettes, Hayes Street, that's hell. Let's zoom out and you might see that we've got a large number of religious labels on this tiny little place. And the tiny little place, so there's St Mary, there's St John, there's Trinity, there's the Gerald Durrell Wildlife Park, which is the English connection, and the French connections are obvious from all of the street names and the jokes about religion. There is JE3 4FN. It's not near Jedburgh Sheriff Court as I suspected. I am a really, really poor fraud researcher because I got this wrong. I made an assumption about the crimes of the Scottish people as they lick the arse of the elites that own the Channel Islands. There's St Mary. Right, there's Princess Tower Road, there's the Bagatelle Road. All the games that we played with the Peary and the Dreidel and the Bagatelle are celebrated in free France, where everything is a joke about wartime conflicts and peacetime profiteering. There it is, St Helier. If you go to the adjacent St Owen, yeah, St Peter, you might have heard of him. He's the one that denied Jesus and committed blasphemy, and the cock crowed 3 times. Jesus is the donkey in this fucking joke. I should not swear, like the Father Ted man who had the cardiovascular accident and sits at the back of the room and watches Father Ted die in his 40s because he's an Irish sectarian joker, like the woman, the GP at the Church of Scotland from Duns, where I have been rejected by Melrose and Porteous because of their links to JP Morgan, George Soros and Michael Moore, our crooked MP, now with nothing on Hansard as part of his blasphemy cover-ups. Michael Moore, former cabinet member, former boss at the Students' Loan Company with Vince Cable, the DTI and the Rothschild Bank, and strong links to the Westminster Foundation for Democracy Limited and 85 subsidiaries of the P&O and shipping empire registered in Dubai, like his Borders College and like the charity that is the college at Ashridge that is run in this scam. Okay, so we're in the Channel Islands, and if I zoom out a little bit further, you'll find that right next door we have an island called Guernsey. And when you look at that and you look at the family names on there, you get a link to the wet feet at the base of the Willow joke. It's one of the place names in the towns on Guernsey, and here all around you've got the same joke. This is the beachhead where they made the Tom Hanks movie about saving Private Ryan. Isn't that good? And Prince Charles gets to go there with all of the penitent leaders who remember all of their war dead every year in the same joke. I'm not really penitent. I'm going to take you back to the business registry and take you on a little tour of Europe run by the Rothschilds Inc. And I'm going to do it as an ad-lib gesture, so I might make a few trivial mistakes. I'm getting off my knees, I'm on the higher ground. The rest of the world and all of its politicians are in denial about their massive sins against their citizens. Right then, I hope my bald patch is not getting too much glare, because the sun's come back out again. I don't know why they're getting the vicious weather storms in England, but I have a theory. Okay, right then, so this is the man who owned the racehorse that dropped down dead and works for Bourne Leisure in the cabal. And you can see that they're registered all over the country for reputational reasons, and so they can launder into the Channel Islands and then into the Rothschilds' epicentre of fraud all over Europe. That's where the fraud started. Then they moved to the other continents and they bullied them into submission, and they now own every central bank on our globe. Yeah, sorry to resort to the luscious thigh concept, but these people are just prostitutes for the world's owners, and the whole of the world is run like a brothel, shamelessly, like a brothel. Right then, and that's where the Paris, Texas joke comes in, and the powers that own the Rothschild interests in Paris and link into Professor, the head of biochemistry when I left was called Krauss, Kurt Krauss. It's a Nazi affiliation. That is really nasty of me. I don't know whether or not he has fascist roots, but his links to Texas and the university that I was collaborating on to try and save lives are immense. He's a profiteer in the Pfizer empire, and he's using the drugs that we use as models to make people psychiatrically unhinged. when we have an animal model for that. He's trying to launch that on humans now. That project started as I left Otago. I'm on the higher ground everywhere I go, and they know it now, which is why they're quaking in fear. And I don't know whether or not they're getting lightning storms in the South Pacific or in Australasia, but they thoroughly deserve it. That is the British owners of all of those Commonwealth countries. Right then, so I want you to learn how to use company check, and I could put the camera closer to the screen so that we can see what we learn with higher resolution. Let's do that. I've got a wicker basket across here. Like the bulrushes thing that we keep talking about. Okay, and I've got statements on all the savings I've put in place through all of my lifetime on that wicker basket. Right then. So, I've gone into company check already. We can use Google Maps to check out the fraudulent epicentres for these places. This is the little thing that I could not find. That was given by my brother-in-law from Chipping Norton. The joke about the emptying of the treasury. He was the funder of my wife's divorce case, but I'm going to keep you on international issues and war crimes for a few minutes, because I feel really guilty about telling that lie about Trevor Hemmings yesterday. Okay, let me see if I can find a plinth for my camera, or whether that is no, it's not capturing the whole of the screen. So just forgive me again. And the capital city of Guernsey is St. Peter's Port. St. Peter that made the cock crow 3 times because of his treasonous acts against the greatest martyr that ever was invented for profit. The profit has an F in the middle. And I've explained the C word and the links of the Camerons to the crashing of the global banking system through the Edinburgh connection and the tale of 2 cities into Dunedin, right next door to the island where the Rothschilds run their trust in Auckland. Yeah, and the people at the Education Ministry are quisling deserters from Ireland that call themselves Connolly because it has an affiliation to the ordinary working man in Glasgow. And I don't know whether or not the colonies have, the Connollies in New Zealand have cancers, but I would not be at all surprised. Yeah, the father and the son are quisling deserters to their new country. They're now in Wales. Yeah, right then, there's the camera on the screen, and let's see if I can make it a little bit closer at the risk of getting some hum. Okay, so open company check, enter the word Rothschild in the singular and return that, enter it, and let's have a little tour of Europe. Yeah, really cheap shot tour of Europe. Okay, it's a bit slow. I could close the braying donkey, but every time we find somewhere of interest, I was going to show you a little video clip of it. So Sole Traders 26, and if you scan to the right, you'll find that they have a European affiliation, because they fucking own Europe for several centuries already, and all of the central banks there and all of the financial institutions in the EU project. That is a massive triumph for all of them. Right then, Sole Traders 26. It's going to be ever so slow, the computer. I think I'm going to have to shut down Google Maps so I can focus on their crimes. Although that would be sad, that they are able to slow my computer down, and I'm ad-libbing today. Yeah. No, it's not going to scan to the right. So let's zoom in a wee bit. Oh, it's already zoomed. Right then, so there's 100%. That's a real-time image of the Rothschild theft from the whole world. Okay, companies 151, directors 291. We've gotten to page 4 of them, and we got to Edmund de Rothschild with the French connection and the romantic affiliation to wartime profiteering and to peacetime profiteering through Edmund de Rothschild's links to Switzerland. Okay, and everything that they do is a crime against the people, and they're still getting reparations for every war that they engineer. Right then, so if I click on that now, we've gone to 100%. European companies 262. Right then, let's have a look. It is pan-continental, and when it's in Europe we cannot regulate any of it. The first company is just Rothschild. All of the companies are just Rothschild in the top 3. One is in Prince de Galles Nice. Yeah, that's in the elite Côte d'Azur region. Kires Vi Stabek does not give a country. The next one is Chetteron Nice. The next one is Keilstrasse Stad Keil does not give a country. That is Rothschild Reparatur Service Herbert Rothschild. Franz Rothschild Berlin Inhaber Karen Rothschild Fondat Rothschild Institute Ada Rothschild Montreuil Sous-Bois in France, in Paris. Rue Blomet Paris Arrondissement, the Master Race Register, Arrondissement 15, Rothschild Jacobs, Brussels 1180, Rothschild and C. That's not ICE or a link to the Icknield Way or the Roman roads, it's CIE, not CIA. They are linked intimately to CIA. They keep them safe as national traitors. Rothschild GmbH, I believe that is Enga. That could be Switzerland or it could be Germany. I'm not sure what the GmbH stands for. Next page. Yeah, there are 26 pages. Yeah, I would get you a bus, but Angloag's prices are too expensive to conduct a tour like this through the epicenter of theft. None of it gets regulated. All of it. Some of it are massive jokes, like the Rothschild Julius bit that I'm looking at now. So 11 to 20. Godals by Oslo, Norway, where the Prime Minister in Second World War was named Quisling. That's not a joke, that is his real name. His nickname was Gimli, which is the Lord of the Rings joke again. And ABBA were launched out of there as a joke about the central bank. I keep telling you that. Foundation Rothschild Paris, Arrondissement 12. Rothschild and CEA, Arrondissement 8. That's 2 CIEs. CI Europe. Rothschild Julius, Jan van Rieschwa Clan, Antwerp, Belgium. Rothschild Logistic GmbH, oh, it's Germany after all. Rothschild John, that could be the fraudster in the Bible. St. John's Church in Kelso was renamed by the profiteers and the propagandists that give the sermons there. That's the Curries, that's Jazz Curry on the listings for the secret society in Edinburgh that runs the scams locally and gives the sermon. Rothschild and their son is in the army uniform when he's allowed to participate in the sermon on Remembrance Sunday. Rothschild Ferrier, Rue de Messine, Paris 8. That's the wheat joke about the endless circuit around the Formula 1 track that means that everything is just run and run and run. And in the religious frauds it means they transition
through Egypt into Jerusalem and then into the Islamic capitals, and for a time they brutalise India entirely for profit, and their missions there get massive earthquakes, but nobody appreciates that but me. And they fund one individual from those missions in India to come back like Malala to tell lies on behalf of Gordon Brown and the cabal of profiteers right at the top of the food chain. The people that work in the churches get the cancers. They have no idea where the money goes. And there's the wife of the local doctor who's on the care homes scandal, retired at 40, and now runs with Miss Tom the care home for the disabled. And all of the disabled that do not dare say boo to a goose are on the board of that, and are former hosts of my Rotary Club relatives that are now threatening to take half of my home from me. Okay? So, Rothschild Leo, Brussels, Foundation de Rothschild, Paris. Let's go to page 3 and numbers. What we've got 20 already, so 21 to 30. We go to France, quite active in France, strictly neutral for cowardice reasons when anybody gets into uniforms, like Brussels. Okay, they just roll over and die and open up the hole in the Maginot Line. Okay, so that's Avenue Louise. That could be a link to Lord Patton, or it could be a link to Versailles. All of the ordinary working people get their heads lopped off in the anti-communist movement. Okay, Rothschild and Company, Banque. Fondation de Rothschild, Rue de Picpus. That could be the pussy joke. Yeah, and then we get Le Rothschild, Salomon Rothschild, Suresnes, France. De Rothschild, Robert, like the Bruces, Paris 8, Arrondissement 8. Fondation de Rothschild, Rue de Défenseurs de Verdun. Have you heard of Verdun before in a tragic war graves context? Nogent-sur-Marne, Nogent-sur-Marne, 94130, France. Rothschild, Thomas, the denier, in the 12. Yeah, like St. Peter, the denier, in the 12. None of them existed. All of them are all over the Channel Islands frauds as big cities, as part of the Rothschild and the Bourne Leisure joke. I am not at all penitent. Everything that is revealed to me is a major crime against all of the world's people. Rothschilds and Son Limited, Rue Montagne du Parc 3, Brussels. Rothschild and Company, Gestion, Avenue de Messine, Paris. Lavigne, question mark, Rothschild, Leslie, 3 Place General de Gaulle, Nice. In the Côte d'Azur region, Rothschild and Company, Gestion, Rue d'Anjou, Paris, 8. Next page. Isn't it fun? I'm afraid that we cannot have coloured pictures for the people that watch the rugby on a Friday and travel all across Europe to see Scotland win the wooden spoon, and to see the cock on the jersey of the French team as the Rothschilds and their elite friends in Bourne Leisure abuse the gillies all over the River Tweed, who could own their own river were it not for their lack of courage and their capacity to lick the arse of all of the directors through all of this system, and to challenge the fact that they own all of Scotland. I just had John Lamont's propagandist come to my door. I refused to accept his pamphlet until they accept my accusations and they talk to me about these massive frauds against the whole of Scotland's people. On the directors that are linked to Cameron, you find McCluskey and McCletchy and all of the people like Max Wall that my mother-in-law was able to do an impression of, because they're interlocked to the Rothschilds, and they understand that because they're members of the treasonous Rotary Club and all of the things that steal from the people in the organised secret societies. Yeah, and the people that we loved in Hexham as neighbours, yeah, one of them's South African, one of them's in the publishing industry, and the others are Santa Claus in the fraud at Christmas time, but they're too young to be in the aged and crispy and crinkly Rotary Club. They're still in the youthful members of that, I forget what they call it. The Rotary Club is the senior members that are nearer death than the younger members that play the role of Santa Claus at Christmas time, when 3 ships came sailing by on Christmas Day in the morning, which are the Christian missions out of Spain. Not any Spanish registrations so far. Yeah, and we've explained how the Spanish and the Portuguese have been subsidiarised to be under the thrall of the UK when they killed King Carlos I in Portugal. That's the UK monarchs, and all of the assassinations are to keep the power base and to make the whole of the world incompetent. Rothschild Werner, Colmar France, John Rothschild, common name like John in the Bible fraud, Oslo, Norway, Foundation de Rothschild, Dunois, Paris 13. That could be really unlucky for investors. Rothschild Gold Limited, New Court, St Swithin's Lane, with a spelling error, so it's really difficult to find. So it says there St Swinthins Lane, London, EC4 P. That's the Bank of England, where Eddie George and Mervyn King are deviants for several decades, living in petty France, in the region near Watford, where all of my family's Salters criminals operate in league with this, and they pine for the war dead as a joke. CTS Rothschild 4 Rue de Toulouse, Rennes, 3500 Rennes, France. Rothschild Vermin, oh no, it's just Verm ? And it looks Germanic, and it is Germanic. Klosterstrasse 91367. Let's not give you the numbers because it's taken too much time. NM Rothschild and Sons Limited, London, New Court, St Swithin's, Royam Uni, that could be a university, Étranger, France, Fondation de Rothschild, Rue Alfred Mary, Mass, Miriam, Mendel. Everything is a joke about the religious fraud, and it's 2,000 years old if our history is to be believed, which it is not. It goes back, the naming of the Garden of Eden takes you into the carpet bombing of Aden in the 1960s by Sir Alec Douglas Home and their man Wilson, the socialist with the pipe. The pipe also is a joke about the Piso family and the ownership of the world. Yeah. And if you look at the word pipe with the English connection on the end, it reads backwards as the pie joke, and it reads forwards as the pie joke. Is that on screen again? Ah, shit. Originals. Like the Mozart clip. Yeah, everything I do is honorary and amateur, and none of them are prepared to accept the truth. But the storms in England today could be false news. Now that they know that I'm engendering panic all across the world because of these explicit revelations about why the war dead were killed and why the religious martyrs were killed. Right then, that will fall over again. Right then, we're now going to the next page, and we'll scroll to the top. Rothschild and CIE again, Paris, Rue de Messine, next one, Rue de Toulouse, Rennes, the next one, de Rothschild David, ? Harras, de Reux, André Reux, the musician in Switzerland who's tucking it away and having a laugh at all of the piss artist sector that we talk about on a daily basis. Company Benjamin de Rothschild, that's the Benjamin, is a sinister link to Israel. Like all of the Islamic terror that is reported out of Paris, he's actually in Luxembourg. Baron Guy de Rothschild, Courcelles, Paris, wheat, like the racetrack, eternally spinning around for profit. Rothschild Assurance et Courtage, Avenue de Messine, got lots of little subsidiaries in there. The company Gestion, Rue d'Anjou. Foundation de Rothschild, Mary and Miriam again. Edmund de Rothschild, Investment Advisors, Luxembourg. Yeah. The Low Countries, really, really, really low, and absolute traitors to their investors and their savers. Next page. 262 European companies, totally lawless, no regulation anywhere to be seen, anywhere on Google Maps. Next one, Chateau Lafite. Is that a wine or is that a champagne? La Poilette, 3325. Oh, we don't do the numbers for lack of time. The next one is the family of N and J Rothschild, South Africa, registered in Luxembourg. Family Rothschild harassed Dimitri Toux, France. Edward Rothschild, that could be the Longshanks connection, and it has got an equine foundation. That is the GG horsey jokes, and it is the St. Ledger joke. Let me explain that one to the sophisticates that laugh at the Bourne Leisure joke. Dom de Grosbon, Boissy, St. Ledger, 94470, Boissy, St. Ledger. Isn't that funny? The St. Ledger is one of the world's elite races. Like the master race and the arrondissement joke. Portfolio Edmund de Rothschild, we've learned a lot about his 99-year-old sins. Registered in Rothschild, Luxembourg, you already know that one. Rothschild SA, Grossstrasse, Weissmannschaft, 991 LU, I believe that will be Luxembourg. That's the SA South African connection to the De Beers and all of the scams that keep the whole of sub-Saharan Africa in poverty and epidemics of horrible things, because they do not get pure drinking water like the rest of us. LCF Edmund de Rothschild, Consul, Luxembourg. Rothschild Philippe, Clamart, France. Kennedy Rothschild Limited, guess where? Romantic affiliation to the Church of Scotland GPs and the vaudeville. They're from Dublin, Adelaide Road, Dublin. Okay, right then, next page. And we're through to, let me tell you in a few seconds, that we're through to 61 of 70 of the 262. Edmund de Rothschild Investors, Paris. Rothschild Consult, Meersburg, Germany. Rest Eck, that Eck, like a Scottish Freemason term, like my uncle. Yeah, the man that is a Freemason first and is loyal to the family second, that had a really serious stroke as he monitored me in advance of me moving my innocent family to New Zealand. Everything that I now tell you, they begin to understand, but it's too late for their loved ones. Hersbruck, Deutschland, NM Rothschild and Sons Limited, New Court, St Swithin's Lane. This time it's spelt correctly. So that's an overlap, which is again the law if it's got the same directors, because that one's in London, where it is totally lawless. There's Edward Longshanks again. Ferriers in Brie, where the hole in the Maginot Line is, and in the film that is the place where they go to the pub with the black horse on the sign. That's the film about the Lord of the Rings of criminals that run the world like a mafia and kill the innocents all of the time in every conflict. Rothschild Georges, Paris, and I cannot do the numbers, it's 15 arrondissement, the master race. Cy Rothschild, that could be about science and the conspiracy theories that they launch into the news every time they have to cover up their financial crimes. The physicists are particularly good at that. They get massive acts of God, like motor neuron disease. Yeah, some of the South African sportsmen get the same, and they're very poor at communicating now, like the policeman that I met in the wheelchair yesterday, whose children committed suicide. It afflicts everybody that it touches, which is why I'm exposing it before my kids get HIV from the relatives that now have access to them. Rothschild Ferriers, Rabelais Paris, Chartier, Rothschild de Josette, that could be a female Joseph, and a very creative gesture in writing the world's false history of the false religions that are always fighting with each other to cover up these crimes. Paracar, Rothschild, that's a bit like Patlocker, it's got the word ruck in it, could be connected to the French Freemasons, who we get all the time coming into our country and dismembering it. The rugby coaches are the Freemasons from Australia, where the Melbourne races are really, really important in covering up their crimes with drunkenness. Right then, next page. We're not up to the 100 level yet. We're actually up to, oh, the Rothschild Eric, the Red, the man that discovered America, way before they declared that Christopher Columbus discovered it, as a joke about Christ and Saint Columba, who lived near Scotland and was a warlord to cull the local people and keep them in fear. The Rothschild Eric, Paris, Rothschild Valot Amina, Brest, France, Association Sportive Rothschild and CIA, CI England, 3 Route de Messine, Paris, the Rothschild Anna Saskia, romantic one, Paris, Wheat, Rothschild Ici Bank, we've got a bank in London as well, Avenue de Messine, Paris, Committee Enterprise Foundation Rothschild, that will be tax free, Cabourg, France, Film Theatre, B-Tribe, Fritz Rothschild, OHG, Deutschland, Edmund de Rothschild, 2 Avenue de Monte Carlo, France, Rothschild Assurance Écoultage, Paris, 8, Foundation Rothschild, Rue de Picpus, Picpus, my pussycat's over there, the camera's not trained on it, and it's got revolutionary red, like the Parisian Quislings that launched the revolution to kill the ordinary people, and it becomes in every world war the anti-communist movement. Let's move down to the next page. I will not stop until the batteries stop, and I'm really sorry that Anne Gloag's allowed to get away with her theft project as an ordinary working revolutionary in Scotland. She's removed the right of Scottish people to roam on Scottish land, and she got her redundancy funds from the nationalised bus company when her dad was given the sack, when it made the transition into private hands and is now globalised. That's Stagecoach, the joke about the American Indians and the Indians being the threat. I've explained that to you already. That's the Butcher Jones tonto jokes. Tonto in Spanish means fool. Right then, we're on to listings 81 to 90 of 262, Matignon, Paris, Rue La Baume, Paris, 8 La Baume. I don't know whether or not that is ballistic and explosive, but nothing surprises me about their jokes and the vicious nature of how they kill people and then laugh at it on 11/11. The whole of Europe is shedding crocodile tears because of these profiteer sins. Harass Dimitri, we've covered all of those. If I see a new one, I'll stop and I'll Foundation de Rothschild, De La Guette, Villeneuve, Saint Denis, the Saint Denis joke, and the Basilica at Saint Denis, which is the joke about the man in Australia and the width of the catwalk, because the catwalk in Paris and Paris fashion and in the churches is created by putting the martyred saints' heads down and burying them in concrete, like the Freemasonic joke. Okay, Foundation de Rothschild, it's gone a little bit cloudy. The thunderstorms could be coming here soon. CHS de la Guette, Villeneuve-Saint-Denis. Foundation de Rothschild, Chevely-Larue, Chevely-Larue, France. Rothschild, Concordia, the BAE systems and the jokes about West by Northwest in America, where the T-Mobile company is now registered, and the people that were prepared to take the risk of revealing Christianity as a fraud live right next door to the Boeing factories that were in the wars with the Concords in Paris. Yeah, everything is about for-profit and division and conquest. Foundation de Rothschild, Chevely-Larue, France. Rue de Paris, Montreuil-sous-Bois, that's the shrubbery joke, under the wood is the Christian cross, and the Ave Maria joke is about the avenue that is lined by wood. They are vicious, they are bastards, and everybody will know it. I am guilty of blasphemy against the Bourne Leisure people that get my computer crashed, but all of this can be done with everybody understanding entirely that it is there to profit from the poor people in peacetime and in wartime. And the inquests are chaired by the same people that Jedburgh Sheriff Court will not let me talk about. The Chilcotts, the Cullens, yeah, and the Culloden thing is just massive. Lavigne, Rothschild, Leslie. Leslies are legendary traitors in Scotland. Yet they're part of the people that kill the people in Scotland that want to liberate it, and all of them fight amongst themselves entirely for profit, and they kill their relatives and they get them right between the back with a piece of horn off the deer's head. Right then, we're on to another page. I'll just keep to the highlights. Oh, we've got a Linda. I'd never heard that before, although part of my relatives that were responsible for the asset stripping of the NHS in Scotland and the running of the Scottish Borders Council Treasury, yet who will not talk to me very openly anymore, but visited me in New Zealand, I had to help them with the hire car to get them out of the airport, because they don't have the wits to own themselves and to be responsible for their policy making. So they reinvested in the Icelandic banks after the Borders Council had lost all its funds to the Icelandic banks in the previous investment scam. Rue de Vai du Temple, Paris 3, Rothschild Linda, Rue de Ferdinand Duval, Paris 4, CTIM Rothschild 3, Rue Adolphe de Rothschild. He's in France, he's not a Nazi. CTIM Rothschild 3, that's 3 in French. I can go that far up the ladder of Ponzi shells. Foundation A de Rothschild, Rue Manan, Paris 19. Perisic le question mark Levy. That could be Levy, but the question mark is over the E European joke. De Rothschild, the Levies, are the people that keep the administration for the High Priest of Israel, and they have the ephod in the tent. That becomes the iPod in the jokes about the world that we now live in. They are based in Orange Land in Brussels. That's the sectarian division joke in Brussels near Orange Holland, where they have horrible sectarian floods. In division Rothschild Thierry, France. Breast, yeah, the Britney Spears joke, the breast, get the tits into the news joke. Foundation Rothschild Institute A de Rothschild, Rue de Prague, Paris. Well, that's romantic. It's related to the popes that were immune from the plague in Czechoslovakia, when France also had a contender to host the Pope for profit along with Rome. That was in Avignon. The romantic songs are lovely and they sound really innocent when you hear the bells ringing. Chateau Lafitte Rothschild, Rue de la Baume, Rothschild Nathalie Anne. Oh, Natalie, I love Natalie's singing and her songs. She's already been torn. And the little videos that I made on the programs in Australia that are soap operas about the papacy, shagging the married woman with the ring on her finger as a laugh way back in the 1970s. Yeah, they've got a joke about the underwear. Rothschild Natalie, Basques, France. Rothschild GmbH, Frankfurt, Deutschland, where the Rothschilds lived in the ghettos when they were poor people, in inverted commas. That's a rabbit's ears. Have you ever asked yourself the question why the Easter Bunny is in the Easter story? It's because of the links to the Nazis from Frankfurt that now own the world and were in Operation Winnie the Pooh to let Hitler's friends escape to Latin America. And that's the Shakira joke, because the Shakira is linked into the people that run Egypt. Isn't that funny? And she's terribly lissom, and she's prepared to pick up the mud like the man in the Gladiator film and pretend that she's a spirited woman that is working on behalf of the world's people. She may be a spirited woman, and our controllers at Sony keep her quiet and suppressed. I believe that they have taken Madonna out since I revealed the truth about how the world is run to Madonna. Yet the person that fell over at the Brits was a pathetic body double for her. She's fit, she's competent, she's mentally agile, and I got all sorts of messages that that was bad news on Madonna's fate in the hands of these people that run the world from Frankfurt, where they used to be poor, in inverted commas. Right then, so ask yourself, if you're a theologian, why the bunnies are such a prominent part of Easter in the merchandising scandals and the selling of the eggs that represent the Rolling Stones joke and the brutalisation of Vietnam for a laugh, in this sector, in the romantic lies that they tell to steal from the people. Next page. The sun's gone in again. Yet when you get tragic in history, the gods really get ballistic. I don't know what's happened in England this morning, or whether to believe the newsreaders on Radio 4. Yet I do not have any faith in what they say. Chilcott, the Rothschild, Yvette, one of the martyrs in wartime. Yvette, the tragic stories, a tragic cover for the crimes of the Rothschilds in Paris. Rothschild Valot, Amina, Rue de Toulouse, Rennes. Rothschild CIE Bank again. GIE Rothschild and CIE, a couple of Ponzi's bonded together with illicit love children all over the world. Committee d'Entreprise LCF Rothschild, Rue de Faubourg, where the perfume comes from, I believe. Rothschild Marie Julie. That's the Marie Julie into the bloodline joke that Ali G laughs about all the time. Where's me fucking Julie? Julie was the man that married the woman that married the Gentile in the House of Rothschild film. They're based in Lille. Yeah, the lilies of the field joke. Mallard, the Rothschild, Ariel, that's a duck. The Duke joke in the aristocratic sector in France that came to Melrose as a haven from risk during the Napoleonic cull of the ordinary working man. Rothschild AC Bank, Rothschild Peter Michael, that's the Jewish angel and the fraudulent Pope that denied Jesus and got the cock to crow 3 times, based in France. The Alpes, yeah, the Alps joke, the mountain from a molehill, the Marshall jokes, and everything that is a laugh about their religious fraud and their triumph over 2,000 years, with all of the decent citizens getting culled by it. Rue de Rothschild, Monique, Maison Forestière, another shrubbery joke. Next page. And it's really tragic that the French get all of the action because of their desertion of everything that they make legends about the working man and the revolutionary. Foundation de Rothschild, Rue de Lambardier, Paris, 12, Chateau Lafitte, Pouac, Pauliac, yeah, everything's religious, and it is a really sly belly laugh up the sleeve. Yeah, Baron Philippe de Rothschild, Brussels, Rothschild Anne Linda Temple, Paris. Vinicole Edmund de Rothschild Honoré, Paris. There is no honour in any of this. They are bastards. Edmund de Rothschild, Cannes, the film festival, we've already revealed that to you. Sorry, I'm getting a bit out of date. Auguste Blanqui, Paris. Foundation de Rothschild. Foundation de Rothschild, right next door. Rue Victor Hugo. Was he the one that wrote about the hunchback and the cockneys coming into town and electing the king with the disability, which is the launch of the Paralympics jokes? And all of the impotent people that now run the world with all of their afflictions, because all of the people that run the world are bastards. They intermarry to people that are deviants, and Commoner Kate is possibly the exception to that. She looks like a really genial person, and I would love to meet her sister Pippa, who shoots with the Duke of Northumberland, who I get £32 a day from, but I'm not fit enough, not in the biblical sense, to shoot with Pippa. She shoots the tiny fast birds at the top of the highest mountains, and I, as a 50-something, am not able to be picked for that team. Yeah, it is really good that the ordinary people are now becoming the monarchs, because their bloodline will be able to survive, and some of their decency might break into the monarchy bloodlines, but the money lenders' bloodlines are really vicious, which is why I am focusing on the Rothschilds and why the sun has gone in. Rothschild Anne Linda, Montparnasse, Paris, 14. Next page. I might write to Anne Goaget and ask her if I could become a tour guide for her buses, where all of my relatives in the healthcare frauds and in the Church of Scotland get all of their bus journeys for free. And that's the man that earns more than me as a consultant for the Church of Scotland when I'm trying to save lives in the pharma sector. Yeah, and they're friends of my wife who's divorcing me for my money. Okay, and Rothschild Nicholas Charles, Rue de la Odeon. Lassie Financier Edmund de Rothschild B.A., Rue Georges Pitard, Edmund de Rothschild Euro Opportunities. Oh, we've done Edmund's sins before. There's another one. Exploit Vinicole Benjamin de Rothschild, Rue Pusigin. See Nice Rothschild 3, another Ponzi shelf for potentially the scientific branch of the family registered in Nice. Commit Enterprise Opthal Rothschild, Rothschild Spar Unda Darles Casa Limited, Dublin, Ireland, where the GP comes from, that is prepared to make the vaudeville in the Church of Scotland floor to cover up how the whole of the news released by the whole of the world is a crime against the people. And thank you to the innocent vicar in the Church of Scotland that realises what I'm trying to do, and she understands the importance of holding your head up as you meet your maker at the pearly gates. I will not tell you her name in case she gets taken out like Madonna. My surveillance team already know it, and I'm going to give them, Uncle Tom Weatherston, a really huge conscience until you step down and start working for your people and your mates, if you've still got any. Company Benjamin de Rothschild S.A., Geneva, France. Près de la bois, that's near the wood, and the shrubbery joke again, and Jesus' crucifix. Ave Maria. La CIA, Financier Edmund, we've done all of him. De Messine, Paris. Rue Jules Chaplain, Paris. A chaplain is a religious officer, and it's also the name of the man from Sunderland who became a hero in the silent movies in the USA. Charlie Chaplin. La CIA Financier Edmund, we've done him. Roman Rothschild GmbH, Deutschland. La C Financier France. La C Financier Edmund again. Succession Halfin de Rothschild, Rue Monsieur, France. That could be the brothers. It's Monsieur, Mr. They don't let the women in unless they're in scantily clad silk stockings, as you already know. But if you're clever enough to be a German profiteer in the backroom, you can thrive on both continents, right across the Atlantic, supported entirely by Hollywood and the Warner Brothers, Salomon, who are actually Nazis. Salomon de Rothschild, Vaucresson, France, Science Lacroix Rothschild, Merlimont, France. Next page. My camera is still going on, like Celine Dion's heart and her links to the gods, which is what her name means. Dion is the god. Yeah, and when she sings with the Bee Gees, she's singing about being gods, and when she sings about the Bee Gees about eternity, she's singing about her being one of the people that have been chosen to live forever. I do not know that until I get to the pearly gates, and I'm not really worried about whether or not there is. I have no conscience. Everything I've done in my life is for my neighbours and for my children, and that is my international neighbours who never get a life because the Church of Scotland and all of the religious missions persecute the life out of them, and all of the pagans are dead already, which is a belly laugh for all of these teams in Paris. Oh, here we've got a Scottish name, Frauer von Stoffen, Rothschild and Rutherford GmbH. That could be Johnny Rutherford that I failed narrowly to get the job with as a gillie on the River Tweed. He is actually a Scotsman, and he's got a chunk of the River Tweed, and he runs an export business because we have no killing houses anywhere near Rutherford on the River Tweed. You have to take the cattle 150 miles to Shotts in Lanarkshire to get them killed, which is very near where William Wallace was defeated in the Torah Wood joke. The Torah is the Jewish Bible, and the actor in the William Wallace film is a Jew. And he's now looking like death warmed up because of that thing that I told you about the mythology about looking in the mirror and premature aging if you're an evil person. Edmund Rothschild Asset Management, Benelux, Brussels. Marodia Industry, Diamond 10, Amsterdam, Max Rothschild, registered for cautious reasons in Deutschland. Ferriers Rothschild, Paris 2. That's the duck symbol in the bingo game. Yeah, everything is a joke. Lassie Financier Edmund Rothschild, Paris, France. Rothschild in Verenfering, GCV, Belgium. 5 Arrows, Mrs. de Rothschild, Avenue Matignon, Paris. Next page. (151 to 160 of 262). We're over halfway round our tour of Europe, and spinning around like Kylie. This one's in Belgium, European office. Commit Entrepreneur Banque Rothschild, Lafitte, Paris. Rothschild Europe SNC, Foundation Alphonse de Rothschild, Hugo Grovius. There was a man in the church on Sunday at the Jehovah's who looked like Michael Gove. The criminal in the education department. That's not the New Zealand criminal, who is Martin Connolly, works for the education ministry to asset strip everything that the New Zealand ordinary working man could have. He's Irish and he's got red hair, and his son is a traitor to my cause and my scientific team, as is the Errington, who came from Jadiland and works for Michael Moore's P&O empire, and his mum is very high up that food chain, like the people in Hexham that still work for Michael Moore in the shipping sector. All of them are on Facebook. None of them will look me in the eye. Rothschild Nordic AB, Stockholm. Committee Enterprise Opthal Rothschild, De Taleris, Locarno, France. Rothschild and Perrings, Bullingen, Belgium. Rue de Rothschild, Lille, France. Perisic Levy, that's the levies again, the Jewish people that are the administrators for the leaders of the Jewish nation since the 12 tribes were culled. Levy and McRae in the Clutha jokes about remuneration of people for accidents that are only false news in the press. That takes you to Michael Grade and Folkestone, the biggest fraudster in that sector that I'm currently aware of. Vladimir, yeah, the Russian connection, the Cold War theft projects, and the fear-mongering about the Russians being evil people. They never get a life, they never get to own their country. Since Catherine the Great, speaking English really well, launched her campaign in there, and all of the revolutionaries are trained in London. And even the jokes about the fiddler on the roof are in the English-speaking language. L'Assis financier Edmond Rothschild BA, Marseille, near the Côte d'Azur, and near Beaverbrook's elite home on the Côte d'Azur, where Winston Churchill was invited to celebrate his 50th wedding before they elected the man called Hill, who's the only Prime Minister that is not registered in the UK in Britain, because he's so fascist that they dare not put his work down in the written text, like Michael Moore's. That's the Hansard concept. The false news cover-up consumes the Parliament building and both chambers. Science Residence, Parc Rothschild, Rue de Faubourg, Paris. Committee Enterprise Opthal Rothschild, France. Hilaire de Ries, Committee Enterprise Opthal Rothschild, La Rosière, Montelzan, France. L'Assis Financier, Harriet, Nantes. My teeth are on the Harriet's rugby pitch in Edinburgh because I tell the truth and I'm yappy about everything that the opposition does. I am innocent and I do not miss my teeth very much, but it will cost me a fortune because all the local dentists are now privatised, and that is my brother-in-law's work. He has asset stripped the whole profession. The dentists here come from Lithuania now, and all of the students that work in the system are part of the globalised asset stripping fraud, and mainly they make their money through the laundering crimes. Harriet is in Nantes, 44000, France. Exploit Vinicole Edmund again, done him. L'Acier Financier Edmund again, done him. Baron Philip Rothschild GFA, that could be Glasgow, Fulham. No. Let's not speculate. Rue de Gracie, France. L'Assis Financier Edmund, we've done him. Edmund de Rothschild. Nice Rothschild. Dom des Etoiles Bat. That is the Batman joke about the coldest victims in inverted commas. Do you get the bunny girl jokes? Do you get the Easter bunny jokes and all of the elite lifestyles that all of the elites live in wartime because of the jokes and the massive financial institutions that plans the war and trains the quislings on all sides? Yeah, that is the bunny rabbit joke, that is the pikey joke, that is the elephant joke, because the pike and the bunny rabbits and the American derivatives of the rabbit have no bullocks hanging below their abdomen like the elephant. Isn't that funny? And that's the way our world is run now, entirely for profit, and a Freemasonic joke up the sleeve like that. Right then, next page. I'm losing my breath. What have we got? Alexander Rothschild. Yeah, the Alexander linkage to Alexander the Great, and the 33 years old when Alexander the Great died is exactly the same as the Jesus story. Yeah, he's in Deutschland, Nuremberg, where the war crimes inquests are faked up. La CIA Financier Edmund, oh we've done him. Rothschild Vermin again. Gens Wertwaltungs, Frankfurt, Deutschland, where the European Central Bank is now, and the European parliamentarians have to go to 2 days a week out of Brussels so that they get their expenses completely inflated at the public expense. Foundation de Rothschild, Institute AD Rothschild, Paris, France, Rothschild Europe SNC, Rue de Messine, Foundation Rothschild de la Guette, Chateau de la Guette. That's a big place, a chateau. Yeah. Marie Antoinette used to live in a chateau. She got her head lopped off, allegedly. Edmund de Rothschild, Euro Opportunities. The women are always the victims. And Mrs. Thatcher is still the greatest. 5 Arrows, Mrs. de Rothschild, Rue de Messine. Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honoré, Brooklawn House, Crampton Avenue, Sherborne Road, Dublin, where the GP in the vaudeville cast comes from with the man curry, who are prepared to sell their souls to the devil so that the news that gets out about the world's children's future can be falsified. In Scotland, that's the Church of Scotland 2 days ago. She's a GP, she's a mature person. They are bastards and traitors to everything that the country could have. Rothschild Private Investor Funds Public Limited Company, Crampton Avenue, Shelburne Road, Dublin. Sectarian division. All the 1916 stories about the Croke Park massacre, all of that is covered up in the sermon on Sunday in Scotland. And they celebrate the rugby triumph of the Irish nation as a diversion from the massive crimes of all the false religions and their money lenders, who are actually the money soakers, but none of them have the wits to confront that. David Curry, the 5th Reserve Vicar at the Church of Scotland, was in the pulpit again this weekend. He runs the care home that used to be publicly owned, and the Currys in Edinburgh are legendary in the speculative society that links them into the Camerons and the senior law lords that steal from the people perpetually. Next page. We must be getting near the bottom. It does not get lower than what they did in the Church of Scotland on Sunday, except for their performance on Remembrance Sunday, when they had the uniform in there doing the same vaudeville number. And that was before the 3rd vicar got his massive limp. He cannot get into the pulpit now. Ass Amy Villa Efrusi Rothschild. This could be the Amy joke about Britney Spears songs. It's the Aston Villa joke as well. Efrusi de Rothschild, Musée Saint-Jean, that's the St. John Santiago jokes. Cap Ferrat, that's the captain joke that I explained to you about the Jewish angels the other day. St. Jean Cap Ferrat, France. Rothschild HDF Investment Solutions, Paris. Rothschild Consul International, they're talking constructively to their neighbours before they brutalise them again, or they asset strip their savings or their pensions. Rabelais, Paris, wheat, like the motor racing circuit. CTIM 5 Rue de Rothschild sank shells on the Ponzi scheme. The 5 is a joke everywhere. The man, St. David, who brought down Goliath, had 5 stones. The 5 are the correspondents in America, all of whom used to work for the presidency. And I corresponded with them for all of the last 5 years. None of them respond. Everybody covers up the crimes of George Bush and Obama, who's not even an American citizen. Edmund de Rothschild, we've done him. Cy Ferries, we've done them. Sabaron, PhDE Rothschild. Polyak, that's the evangelist taxpayer in the Bible. Pathe 250 France. Rothschild HDFS, La Perouse Paris. Next page, I think. Oh no. VME Residenti Rothschild de Dehaan VME, Dehaan, Belgium. Syndicate Coprop Residence Rue Rothschild, Carnot-Berck, France. Next page. My batteries must be getting close to death, like all of those people that are conscripted in every one of their greatest triumphs. Anwalt and Rothschild Investments AB, Stockholm, Sweden, where I cannot get the woman to come and watch a movie, even although she's an innocent in healthcare. Surname Cameron. It's ever such a heavy weight to carry around with you. Rothschild Europe BV. Apollo Lan, Amsterdam. Association Foundation, Madame de Rothschild, Rue Marcadet, Paris. Banque Privée, Edmund, we've done him. Edmund, we've done him. Luxembourg, we've done that. Monopole, Rothschild, Gesellschaft, Mitbesch, Enkter, Haftung, which is all German, and this one is actually registered in Ostrich-Winkel, Germany. That looks like an honest gesture. CTR, E de Rothschild, Resch, Appli, Medec, Avenue, Maturin, Moreau, Paris, Paris 19, 75019, France. Lacy Financier Edmund Dunham, Domaine Baron de Rothschild Lafitte, Rue de la Balme, David Rothschild, Vertreibs, UG, Haftensbestracht, NKT, Meersburg, Deutschland. Next page. We must be getting near the bottom of the burning pit now. Edmund de Rothschild Private Equity, China Management. This is European company results. It's registered in Luxembourg. Edmund de Rothschild Asset Management, Rue de Faubourg, Honor, Paris. Etzma Rothschild C/O TVA BXL 1 South Africa or SA Brussels. Edmund de Rothschild Dunham, Daiwa Capital Dunham, Edmund Rothschild Investment Solutions, Avenue de Champs-Élysées. That's a really famous place. That's where they have all of the parades, and they pretend that they're trying to execute President de Gaulle when the country's actually run by a man in the back room called Jacques Foccart, and he's a lethal killer in North Africa and all of the way into Free France for the whole of the de Gaulle regime and the Pompidou regime after him. He's a mafia man with transcripts on all of the sins of all of the politicians across France and across the French colonial interests that have now become oil companies. Hans Rothschild, Acti Bolag, Baden, SE. That, I'm not sure where that is. Baden is a Germanic name, but it's 13333 SE. I don't know what language that is. I'm getting a little bit creaky in the knees because I'm getting on a bit. Hans Rothschild, Acti Boag, Salt Baden again. GFA Vig Nobles Baron PH de Rothschild. That is Chateau Mouton. That's the meat, the mutton birds jokes, the jokes about the lamb and the sacrificial lamb in the Bible and Jesus being the Lamb of God. Yet all of it is pathetic. All of the stories about Jesus are totally made up, and the Paul person was one of the people that wrote major chunks of that story as he swept across the Med into the Holy Lands, out of the Holy Lands into Greece, where they already had civilization, but it's been displaced like the Egyptian one. Company de TR Benjamin de Rothschild Luxembourg Holding. It's actually registered in Luxembourg. That's honesty. Rothschild Asset Management Ireland, Shelbourne Road again. Next page. I'm salivating a wee bit because it's really stressful having to reel off all of these sins to the innocent people of Europe who never get a pay rise and who never have a life in terms of their pension fund. Baron Philippe de Rothschild SA, Paris Wheat. Lacy Financier Edmund again, Dunham. Edmund Rothschild Entrepreneurial Patrimoniales, Honoré, Paris. Rothschild's continuation, Apollo Lan, Amsterdam. Sock Exploit Salomon Rothschild, Paris Wheat. Jardin Rothschild. I knew some Jardins that I used to see all the time in the airport in Holland. And they were alleged to be drug runners, but they now sell Mercedes cars. I cannot work out which of those two are the bigger sins. From my hometown, ever so sheepish whenever they meet me. Guillaume Kroll, Luxembourg. Edmund de Rothschild, Euro Opportunities. E. Rothschild Entrepreneurial Patrimonials, Lyon. The Lion of Judah joke out of Ethiopia, where all the genocides occurred, and the 10,000 metres champion covers up the links to Jesus in the Bible. And the visits of Henry Wellcome to that country, all of their assets are now in the Wellcome Museum in Euston Road, next to the cover-up for the killing of Jacqueline Chang's brother by Stephen Hester, who was intimidated when I put a guillotine on the front page of my website. Stephen Hester, the Hester jester joke about Parisian religion. Yeah, and it's running by Cockneys out of London. That's the hunchback jokes. Angelica Rothschild, Pralinen Import GmbH, Deutschland, La C Financier Edmund Dunham. Next page. We're getting right down into the relegation zone in the burning pit. Edmund Rothschild Private Equity Partners, Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honoré, Paris again. I promised to look up Saint-Honoré. I don't have the time to look at everything when I make a promise, and sometimes I'm inaccurate, like Bourne Leisure. I'm ever so guilty about them being in the Channel Islands, but I did not have the wits to realise that at the time. It's got a much greater impact on its global victims. Edmund Rothschild Asset Management, Edmund Rothschild Dunham again 3 times, ABN AMRO Rothschild, Rue de Courcelles. This is a unique one. Paris Wheat, familiar old hacking place. In division Eric de Rothschild et CTS, Le Moulin, yeah, the Moulin Rouge, can jokes about the little twit, yeah, and the people that get persecuted as really gifted artists. Yeah, that's the song about the man who commits suicide, lopped his lug off as part of the joke about Prince Charles. And the people that have the massive lugs are associated, of course, with the bunnies. Yeah, and everything they do they think is hilarious until it impacts on their reputation, which it is doing now, which is why we get a crock of shit in every newspaper in every language across Europe. Rothschild Europe SNC, Rue Avenue, that's the tree-lined avenue, the Ave Maria joke, Ave de Messine, Paris. Edmund Rothschild Europe Opportunities, Rheinsheim, Luxembourg, Equity China again, Luxembourg. Next page. The burning pit is alleged to be in Abaddon, where Alex Salmond is a representative. Rothschild Trustee Services Ireland, Rogerson's Quay. Edmund Rothschild Investment Partners, Rue de Faubourg, Edmund Rothschild Courtage Services Honoré, Paris. Edmund Rothschild Multi-Management. I would feel really unsafe walking hand in hand with any of these. Even if they came from the red light district and they were in silk stockings. It might be terrible if you picked up something nasty from them, like the Blue Bloods did through all of that period when they were not marrying into commoners like Kate from the prostitution dens and the Killing Kittens Club, which I have the director numbers for, in London, where the royal prince met her as a prostitute. It's really healthy that the ordinary people begin to make their bloodlines safe again. I'd love to meet Kate and her sister. They look really genial. She's going to have a baby soon. It might be really important for them that they stay genial and they stay friendly to all British citizens and all European victims. Haftung, Stadtkill, Deutschland, Daiwa Capital. Oh, we've done Edmund again. Le Cercle Edmund, we've done him. Daiwa Capital, Domains Baron de Rothschild Lafitte, Roquefort, that's where the cheese comes from, and that is the Punch and Judy joke about the salty cheese and the killing of Holofernes, which is a joke about the whole of the New Zealand nation, and the Haka, which is a joke about Hanukkah, the major religious festival. But none of the All Blacks and their poor ordinary people who are being rendered jobless by the Guinness family and all of the employers in that country who take the jobs to China for slavery reasons, none of them have the wits to understand what is happening to their sovereignty and their once proud nation. and they get pulled into the global conflicts like everybody else, which is the Mr. Bean genocide joke. Baron Philip the Rothschild, La Pigotte, Polyak,